I'm Cordelia, and I built a product called the Thinker in one day using Claude to do most of the heavy lifting. And I launched it live on this show. I did it in 5 steps. It was a real product. I'm going to show you how I did it and how I got sales in that one day. And I'm going to give you the honest version as I walk you through that process using the Thinker as a case study. We're going to build it out together.
The pages, the Claude build, the cart, the automation behind it, all step by step, so that you can get an idea that you've got for a product out of your head and into reality so that you can test it. And so we're told this a lot in marketing, that we should validate our ideas before doing them. However, if you have a warm and mighty audience, that idea validation can rely on visibility. It can also rely on you communicating your problem or what you're doing efficiently enough so that people fully understand it. I actually think that what we need to do is the absolute bare minimum we can to just attempt launching something and then see that data. And that is what we're going to do here today. I'm going to walk you through how we're going to build a product here together, and we're going to take it to completion. And then I'm going to show you how to do that whole process from beginning to end. So we're going to use Claude today. Also, I'm going to personally use Go High Level because it's a good place to build pages all in one CRM system. We're going to use that for pages and automations. And we're also going to use Stripe to take payments. I want to tell you a story about the Mystery Books Man. The Mystery Books Man is someone I spoke to years ago when I was sort of a general business coach and I was working with people to help them build and grow their online businesses. I spoke to this guy who had essentially spent months building an affiliate website. He had done loads of research, and he had built by hand, because this is like 2018. So you just imagine, we're pre-AI, we're pre lots of things, and we're in the dawn of the dinosaurs when it comes to web design, in the difficult days where it was actually really tough and really hard. And his concept was that it was going to be an affiliate website affiliated with Amazon, and the products that he was selling on that website were mystery books. All the mystery books was catalogued on this website that he had built. He created a listing for every single mystery book, and he had written captions for every single mystery book explaining and describing them that were paraphrased from the general descriptions. And he had linked every single one of these mystery books to where you could purchase it on Amazon. And I hated to break the news to him that I didn't think this concept had legs. He had spent a long time building this thing. And why would anybody go to the Mystery Books website that didn't have a better user experience than Amazon to buy a book when they could just go and buy it on Amazon? And it didn't make any sense for the amount of time that he had spent building it. What he did is so human. He found something he was interested in and he disappeared into the work and he built the whole thing before he had checked whether a single person would even want to buy mystery books from him specifically, rather than just go to Amazon or Abe Books. I don't know what his research process was, but I do know that he had been in the cave building and building and building for months. But the problem is that he was stuck in build mode without validation. Now, that's one extreme. The other extreme is when we've got someone who is the opposite of the Mystery Books Man. Instead of getting head down building something for so long, they're trying to validate their ideas, and they are focusing on getting feedback and figuring out whether the idea that they've got has got legs before having the confidence to actually go and build it and put it together and put it out there and try and sell it. You know, they run polls, they ask in Facebook groups, they create surveys, they try and get funding, they do market research. And 3 years later, they still don't have a product. They're in a different cave, but it's still a cave, right? One person builds without testing, and then the other person tests without building. Both of them end up in the same place with nothing live, no real data, and just essentially the idea of a product that has never actually been tested. The system I'm about to show you is designed to get you out of both of those caves. What we're going to do is build something and try and actually get out there and sell it before you have completely completed it or perfected it. And what I'm going to do today is show you how I would build the scrappy version of a product and then sell it. And then later, once I've got that proof of concept, if people want it, I've got that validation, now I'm going to refine it, improve it, work on it, and develop it rather than the conceptualizing stages. The first thing we're going to do, if you haven't already got an idea for a product that you want to sell, we're going to mine it. We're going to think about what is it that you already have, that you already deliver, that you can use. And then the second thing we're going to do is a hand raiser test. We're going to test if anybody wants it. There's two reasons why we do it. Number one, we want to create a little bit of intrigue and a little bit of noise, which will kind of preempt when you do come out and start selling it. You've built up a little bit of anticipation and interest. Number two, it's going to give you an indication whether people want it. The best test is to put it out there and see if anyone buys it with the minimum possible build, because it's a good thing to do to build anticipation, awareness, and interest. Number three is we're going to build it, and then we're going to let the launch be the test of whether anybody wants it. And then number four, we're going to wire up the pipeline so that when someone buys it, they get an automated email that's and they get the product delivered. And then five, we're going to let that feed the content engine. I'm just going to explain that later because that's going to be overwhelming. Let's get through the product first and I'll show you what we'll do with it afterwards. If you are watching on the replay, let me know. Drop me a hashtag replay. If you have any questions as we go along, then please do drop them in. I'll try and make sure I get everything answered. The first thing I want to say about building digital products is that you've probably already got one. And I recommend this as a concept for someone who's already in business, got clients doing the higher ticket stuff. You already got one-to-ones, maybe you're already selling courses or whatever it is that you do. If you're not service-based and you're doing something different, you've got the main thing already going. Digital products, as in like low ticket things, like maybe it's a mini course or a PDF or some kind of guide or some kind of resource. These things are low ticket, meaning like less than a couple of £100. Could be five quid. What that means is because it's small ticket, in order for you to really get it changing the game for you or adding to your revenue or becoming an income stream, then you need to be able to sell it in volume. Now, it doesn't mean you need to have a huge audience right now. You can work on that. Like even if you sold a couple of them a month at £10 each, it's a start and it can build with time. If you're thinking of starting a business right now, don't start here. Start with a higher ticket thing where you can make less sales for more money and work with less people. It's much easier to really get to that place where you're replacing your employee income with business income. But if you are a bit further on in your business, you're like, I want to start adding new streams. Like I want to also have a passive side of things. And when I say passive, by the way, I mean, you're not delivering the product. You've created it and you're now selling it. You're not delivering it. It's never passive in the sense that you have to create it, you have to market it, you know, there's customer support, like there's loads of things that make it not passive. But the thing that becomes passive is the delivery of it. You're not exchanging your coaching time or your consulting time for money anymore because you've got these things. That requires you to have a bit of an audience because you need to sell it to people. And if you haven't got an audience at all, or you're completely brand new to business, you might find that quite challenging and you want to focus on the high ticket things. But if you're already there, this is going to be perfect for a next step for you. So have a think then about your ideal client, the person that you've been working with. What do you keep giving them over and over again? Or what is something that you keep banging your head against a brick wall about, or a question you keep being asked, or a really cool tool that you go through with your clients that could be packaged up as a singular thing on its own? So I'll give you an example. I have an agency that runs your own live show for you. All you have to do is show up and deliver, like I'm doing right now. Everything around it is done for you by my agency. Now, that's a big done for you program. So things that I can do are pull out bits that could be DIY that I could package up. I could create an episode research system where I'm researching for my clients what the best episode is for them to deliver next, based on what's performing well on their channel, based on what's performing well in their niche, and also the competition as well. And I could package that research system up and I could sell it as a product. I could sell it as a one-off thing, as subscription access, as software. I mean, but what I would want to do first is sell it in the scrappiest iteration that I could, so that I could test whether people would buy it. Now, the scrappiest iteration of a research product would be to give someone a research process and teach it. Teach them the research process, how to find out what should be your next episode on your channel or on your show. And that process can then be either videos of me teaching that, or an even scrappier way of doing that could be just a workbook. I just have a workbook with AI prompts and, different ways in which they can implement it in a really straightforward way without needing me to build, a big piece of software that they can use that does it for them. I would then sell and have a subscription, but I'm not going to start with that. That would be wild because it's going to take me so much work. It's going to be iteration 10 before it's ready. And then I've been the mystery books man. I've spent ages in a cave building something. I don't even know if it's going to sell. So I'm going to start with a really scrappy iteration of that and then test it and see if anyone buys it. And if they do, then I go, okay, how can I tighten this up? How can I make it more of a thing? How can I make it deeper? How can I make it easier to implement? How can I turn it into this? How can I turn it into that? It can become a course. It can become a membership. So we want to start with that. And if you've already got an idea, then great. And if you haven't, then that's where you want to look. You want to look at the stuff you're already doing. Now, you have to do that with your ideal client in mind, because it could be stuff that you're using for yourself. That would really work. But let's say you're a photographer and there's stuff that you're using in your photography business. Well, you could package that up and offer that out, but that's going to be relevant to your peers, most likely. It's not going to be relevant to your ideal clients. And this is where we want to think about the long-term customer journey here from this product, because the great thing about low ticket products is that they are really awesome leads. Like, let's imagine you have lead generation where you offer a freebie and you get people signing up for it. Those leads are really valuable. But the ones that have actually paid for something small, they're even more valuable because they are even warmer. And it highlights that they are likely to say yes to something else. If they bought something from you, they're likely to buy something else from you. And so we want to be thinking about using this low ticket product as kind of like a really good lead magnet and not just a cul-de-sac where it's like, okay, I sold that and then that's that and whatever and move on and think of something else to sell. It's like, no, what else could you offer these people that are buying this low ticket thing? So you don't want to just package stuff up and sell it to your peers. You want to think about your ideal clients and what would be useful for them, package it up for them, and then have in mind, like, what would be the next step beyond that? What could be the next step in the process towards working with you on your bigger product, your bigger package, your bigger service, whatever that looks like for you? The Thinker is the product that I'm going to show you how to build with. And that is just something that was already part of my day. And it's relevant to my ideal clients because they're business owners. And it's something that I built. It's an AI powered machine that prioritizes my tasks for me so that I don't end up playing it safe and burying myself in busy work. It is insanely life-changing, this thing. And it's so brilliant that I had this idea that I really wanted to turn it into something that people could implement and adopt. So it's already part of my day. And then what I need to think about was, how can I make this simple for people to adopt and implement? And so all I did was write down the process and kind of organize the process. So I had it laid down because it's very easy for you to operate in your mess, right? But when you want to, let's say you were going to bring a new person onto your team, you have to organize your chaos so that you can translate it to that person so that they can understand it and then adopt it. So I started to think about, how could I translate this system to somebody? And in that process, I did step 2, which is the hand raiser test. The hand raiser test is really simple. We're going to do a hand raiser test. I'm thinking of putting together a guide that shows you how to launch a low ticket product. Who wants that? Type me in the comments. White on black is really nice and easy to read, and these posts catch attention. This is all you need to do for a hand raiser test. Little post out there. Type me in the comments. I'm actually just going to post this because I am thinking of that. We'll see what happens. Guys, go to my Facebook personal profile if you want that. So that is the hand raiser test. And that is all you are going to do. And what that's going to give you potentially is some information on whether people are interested in that product. Now, spoiler alert, you might not get any engagement on that post, but you might also get loads. We want to take that lightly. If you get loads, that's really cool. If you don't get any, you're not going to throw this idea in the bin because that's not a good enough test. You can't base whether you get a response on a post like that enough on whether you should actually create the product. And look, here's the truth. When I was thinking of putting the Thinker together as a product, I did that, just like I do with most things. And I got tumbleweeds. Nobody said they wanted it. In fact, I had one person reply saying, "Don't be crazy. That's not possible." Because the Thinker, when I explained what it did, it's it is insanely good. Like, it's amazing. You WhatsApp it, your ideas and your tasks, and it sorts and organizes them all out, and then it prioritizes and it tells you what you should do based on what your biggest priorities are in your business right now, and it builds you a success day every day that looks like, I'll show you real quick. It looks like this, and it tells you, morning boss, right, big week, the upgrade launches tomorrow, blah blah blah, and it tells me all the things that I need to do for all of like what I've got coming up, right? And this is just based on what I've put into that dashboard. So that is the Thinker. So I didn't get any feedback, and I could have taken that and gone, all right, well, no one wants it, I won't bother, and just moved on to something else. But I know that that is not necessarily enough data for me to base that decision on. What I need to do is put it out there and see if anyone buys it. I took the Thinker, I turned it into a product, I rocked up here on the show, I did a walkthrough of how it works. Before the end of the day, I'd made sales. I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And a couple of weeks later, I did a 2.0 version where I showed like an extended version of it. I packaged that up into the 1.0 version, gave it to the people that bought 1.0. They now have both, and then sold it again, and I made sales. And so if I had listened to that data off of Facebook, I wouldn't have gone ahead and done that. So take it lightly with a pinch of salt, because remember, the algorithm might not be pushing that post. So there might not be visibility on it. And also, you might not have worded it in a way that makes people understand. And so they might not have said yes to it. So you want to give it a test, and a bare minimum test at that. The next step, which is actually starting to build it. So we've done the hand raiser test. We've taken the response with a pinch of salt, and then built step 3 is that we're going to build it and let the launch be the test. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. But just to let you know, inside the strategy lab, which is my community where I essentially give you all of the strategies from the show every single week and lay it out in a step-by-step way, I am going to be turning this into a playbook that will have a lot more detail, and we'll give you the prompts that you can use in a templated way to go and use Claude to get your product created. And we'll give you a whole step-by-step guide. You can jump in today and get that for free. The membership is $4 a month, and you get a 7-day trial. So you can jump into it, get today's for free. If you want to stay around, it's $4 a month. And if you don't, then you can jump out as cancel anytime. But that is where the resources from today's live show will be. So first step, then, you can just brainstorm with Claude about this, is starting to put together all the bits. So I had created the Thinker with Claude anyway, so it's got a bit of context. So I was like, do you want me to show you the system, or do you already understand it enough? And what the Thinker is it's a few make scenarios in make.com, which is an automation tool, and you can export those automation scenarios in JSON files. So I exported those so that Claude could read them. And I also gave it a copy of the screenshots of the Thinker so it understands everything that it does. And then it digged into it, and it's made me a flow chart of the whole process. And then I'm just basically checking that it's got that right. I'm like back and forth, and then getting it so that it's got full understanding of the process. Now we're into creating a PDF that essentially just explains that whole process as a downloadable. Now, what I got from the output there is, I think, a setup guide. I've got it to make a system map. So I've got the setup guide here, and then it's just a case of going through this setup guide. And, it's 18 pages, making sure that everything is correct there, that it hasn't invented anything, because AI does make mistakes. You have to check it. It just will fill gaps that it doesn't understand. I also got it to make a system map that went inside the strategy lab so that somebody could come along and have a look and build it themselves. Like, I wanted to be able to teach the system so that you could build it yourself. But then if you wanted the shortcut, you could just download all the things that you can copy and paste, and it makes it easier. So that was the Thinker system all mapped out. Now, once I'm starting to build up these assets, the next thing that we'll want to do is to start thinking about how we're going to present this to somebody. So some kind of delivery page. Now, if you think about it, how it's going to look, we go to Canva and just basically draw this out a minute. So let's say we've got this here. We want to map out the process. Step 1 is that we want to think about the journey. So what's going to happen is we're going to promote the product, and then that promotion will take people to a sales page, which contains all the info plus buy plus pricing. And that will have a button that then takes them to the cart page. And then the cart page, once they've submitted their payment, they will be taken to the delivery page. Also, we want them to get an automated email which delivers the delivery page. DP means delivery page. Then afterwards, you can think about your customer journey and what you want to do beyond that. But just in terms of delivering the product, that's what we want to do. Is we've got these things here. So in terms of that, so we've got to get the product ready. Think about, what do we need in order to get these things ready? So I like to work backwards. If you start trying to promote the product before you've made it, you're going to be a bit confused and have gaps. If you start trying to write the sales page before you've got the product nailed, then you're going to have gaps. Same with the cart page, etc. So we want to essentially come up with the product first. We're clear on the process. We've got that down. And then we think about the delivery page. And then we're going to make the cart page and the sales page together from there. And then we're going to create the promotion for the product. So the delivery page then is what we need to work on. So once we've got the process down and we're back and forth refining that process and things that need changing, and the next thing we need to think about is, what do we put on the delivery page? Now, for the thinker, there were quite a few things that go on the delivery page. Like, I had to give it the JSON files to import to make. I had to give it the setup guide, prompts, and like some knowledge files. And there were quite a lot of ingredients needed. Yours might be really simple. Maybe it's a calming audio that you've created. And so that's just one ingredient. You just need a page that's got the link to the calming audio. Once we've got all these ingredients, we need to host them and we need to put them somewhere so that people can download them. Now, I use Go High Level. In Go High Level, you have something called media storage, and you can click on media storage and then basically upload whatever it is you want in here. So I've created a folder called The Thinker, and inside The Thinker, we've got all these things. These are all the ingredients plus a couple of other things for Thinker 1.0 and 2.0. So you could just put your calming audio in here, and once you've got that, you just click on the 3 dots, you go get link, and it copies the link of the location. What that means is when somebody clicks on that link, it will just auto download it to their computer as a file. And here it is now downloaded, which is here, the knowledge base workbook. Yeah. So you need somewhere to store them. So you get your ingredients and then you store them in the media storage. Now you want to save these links, because what we're going to do next is we're going to make a page with Claude, a delivery page. And we're going to tell Claude, right, I want you to make me a delivery page that's going to host the calming audio or the thinker files. And I want this page to be essentially the thank you page. And so we're going to ask Claude to create that. And as you can see, I'm back and forth for ages getting this map and everything, how I want it to be, and et cetera, et cetera. It is a bit of a process because obviously you want to make sure that it's right. Now, this is just a page that Claude has created and it looks amazing, doesn't it? One thing that's made it look great is the fact that I have my branding aesthetic guide. There was a video where I taught you how to create a brand aesthetic guide. I will link it in the description. And so I have this brand aesthetic guide here that I then use to make sure that everything is uniform when I create documents, when I create images and all the rest of it. And so it's always the same font, it's always the same shade of pink, and it's always the same vibe. And so it's put together this page. And then when it comes to images, this is actually an image that Claude has created, but Claude can't create images outside of very basic blocks, and it can't do what ChatGPT or Sora can do and create fantastical images. So you have to host the images that you want to use inside your media storage and then give it the link to that, tell it what it is, and then it will basically be able to embed it in a page. And so what I've got down here on this page, this is all Claude generated stuff. I haven't hosted anything right up and apart from I've given it the download links for all of the downloadables for the product. And then these white boxes here, this is actually a video embed. And these are videos of me going through and doing full builds of the Thinker. And I've just given it the link to where it is on YouTube, or the embed code. So you essentially build the page here, but anything you need to give it, maybe you want to have an about you section and an image of you, you need to give it the image of you and you need to give it the storage location. So you just upload it into your storage location here. If you're using WordPress, your media storage on WordPress will do. It just needs to be somewhere where it can grab it, where it's hosted. And then it will grab that and it will put it into the file and then it will be on there. You will not be able to see it in the preview because the image doesn't display here. If I was to click on the Thinker sales page, open in Chrome, it's only showing me the version from the computer. But now, because I've got it on Chrome, it can now display the images. Whereas if I was to open it here, it's just displaying a blank box or this here broken image thing. Yeah. So do not despair if you can see that. You want to then click on the open in Chrome to see what it actually looks like. So that's your delivery page. And if you're only delivering one thing, if you're delivering a PDF or an audio or something, that's going to be a lot more simple than my delivery page. My delivery page is big because there's loads of files I'm delivering and it's a setup. I'm basically teaching someone how to build a piece of software on Claude. The next thing, once you've got the delivery page, what we need is a sales page. And again, it's the same process, but what you want to do is create copy and you want to be thinking about your ideal client or your ideal user of this product, where they're at and what it is that they're experiencing right now. That is the reason why they might be interested in this, so that you can create a headline at the top that's going to hook them in. And then you want to be able to articulate what the benefit of buying your product is going to be and how it's going to solve that problem. But essentially, this is what you'll end up with: a system that prioritizes your ideas. You can get really creative with Claude pages. Claude just out of the box pages are just text, right? Because if we open this in Google Chrome, once we've got the stuff done, you think about, okay, well, what images could I include? You want to show people what is in the box. Don't just have a bit of text and a buy now button. Have some images that demonstrate, like, oh, this happens and that happens. And you know what's really cool? You can get them doing stuff like this. All you have to do is ask Claude, can you make the images interactive so they turn around and show a benefit on the back? You can embed videos. Again, it's just a case of giving Claude the link to YouTube and then it will embed that video. And you can get it to do really cool things. It's just about hosting that image somewhere and giving it the image link, and then it can embed that image onto the page for you. So what we need to do is come into, if we go into sites on Go High Level, and then we go to websites or funnels, exactly the same thing, doesn't matter. Let's go to Cordelia Kate. Let's click on new page, demo, create new page. Create from blank. Essentially, you want to strip everything off the page so it's completely bare. Make sure there's nothing on it. And then we're going to add a code box. And what I also like to do is all of these boxes, they come with some padding. So I'm going to reduce all of that to 0 so that there's no padding anywhere. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to leave it as it is. And then inside this code box, I'm going to open the code editor and I'm just going to paste the code from Claude. If I click on copy, it's going to give me all that code now. I can see what it looks like by clicking that button. It's going to give me that. And then I'm going to paste it into here and I'm going to press save. I am not going to be able to see a preview of what this looks like on this page. I'm going to have to hit this preview button or publish it and then view it on the main link. But if I just hit that button instead of publishing it for now, you can now see that this page is hosted and it is live. It's not because I haven't published it. It's on demo version in Go High Level. But anyway, it's there and it's ready to go. So that is how you get a Claude page onto your website. It's as simple as that. And if you want to edit the button, you decided, oh, actually, I don't want it to go to that page anymore. I want it to go to a different page. Or if you want to change something, all you have to do is go back to Claude, get it to edit the code, and then you copy and paste the code in again directly into here. So that's how you get the thing on there. Now, what you can see on this page here on the preview is that we have a lot of white space at the top, and also there'll be a lot of white space at the bottom. And that's not great. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to these things. And it's just about getting rid of that padding on these boxes surrounding the code. You get rid of all that padding and then happy days, that white space will disappear. What we need now is the bit in the middle of the sales page and the delivery page. And the easiest thing you can do is to have a Stripe payment page. So you go to Stripe, you click on the plus button, you say create payment link, and you set up the payment link in here. So I can choose my product or I can create a new product, and I will go the Thinker full system, 147 quid. create link, and then I've got the link to that. And what I can do is go back to Claude and say, here's the link to the cart page. Can you please put that behind all the buttons, and then get the code with that now edited, put it back on the page, and then publish it, and then test it to make sure that when you click on this button, it takes you to that cart page. Now, on this cart page, we have the ability to edit where it goes and what happens after. So if you click on after payment, you can show confirmation page, or you can replace with something else. So if you click on don't show confirmation page, you can put your own page here. This is where you will put the delivery page, so that once someone has completed the payment, the delivery page will load as the thank you page. And you don't want to solely rely on that, because sometimes it might not load. And so what you also want to do is have an email set up in your CRM, so that you can then email people that buy it. Now, the scrappy way of doing this is to keep an eye out for any sales that happen, have Stripe notify you, and as soon as one comes through, run to the computer and ping the email. Another thing you can do is set up Zapier, which is a linking tool that links two softwares together. And so what you'll do is you'll set Zapier up so it's watching for a payment of £147 to come in. And when it does, it'll send that person and their details to your CRM. And you want to set it up so it'll tag them, and then that tag triggers an email to go out. If that's alien to you right now, don't worry about setting any of that up. Set it up so that you've got the delivery page as a thank you page, and then we'll figure out the emails later. This is one of the things where we try and do the bare minimum to test if someone's going to buy it. Then we build on the fancy stuff later. We develop the process later. We automate later. There's no point spending ages figuring out how to automate an email if it's a new thing to you, if you haven't sold one of the products yet. Let's sell it first and then figure automations out later. That's how we create the product, and it's set up and it's ready to go. How are you going to promote it? What's going to be the way you're going to tell people about it? Now, we've done the hand raiser test, and you might find that you've got a few people that said, yeah, I want that. And if you do, then you can go to the hand raiser test post and you can write underneath, amazing, it's ready for you to grab. Here's the download link, and you share the link to the sales page. Or you might decide to do an online workshop where you walk people through it, or just use sales posts to promote it. There's lots of ways in which you can get the word out. And you want to try and do something where it builds into your current system, so that you don't have to build a whole new system for selling. And the easiest thing, if you haven't got a system, if you don't have a show, if you haven't got something that you're already doing that you could promote on, like an email list or anything like that, and it's just you and you're on social media and you're just posting content and hanging out at networking events, and that's kind of your marketing strategy right now, then you want to create a bit of anticipation with that hand raiser post. And then you want to go and say, it's ready, I've made this thing, here's the link to download it, and announce that it is available. And then put some posts out on a regular basis to let people know that you have this thing and it is available to grab. So that's how you create the product. The next thing that we want to think about then is letting it feed a content engine, and how we can then take that to the next step. Because this product, the Thinker, just to give you an example of how I did that, I didn't create it, promote it, and then it was the end. What I did is I then used that as a way to kind of create more content to populate my social media account. So it became an episode of the show. It's now technically 3 episodes of the show, because I'm now showing you how I did it. And so I have, used that to create content which promotes it and gets people looking at it and raises awareness of it as a product. The other thing is that once you have people pay for it and they come through, you want to treat them now as kind of like low ticket product leads, and the relationship has just begun. The purpose of marketing is building relationships with people. And if somebody has just bought something, do you know what that says? It says, I trust you. I trust that you are going to help me solve my problem. Otherwise, they wouldn't put their money where their mouth is. And so what you can then do is think about enhancing that relationship even further. Is there a next step? Is there a further thing? Is there a one-to-one call that would lead them into something else? Do you have a community? What is the next step of that relationship, so that you don't let that go cold? Because they bought that thing, which means that they are interested in what you do. They're very warm right now, and let's continue to further that relationship. The low ticket product is the door. It's not the goal. It's the door. It should be the beginning of a whole new relationship with that person and your business. And so you want to have a pipeline. You want to show them what else you do so that you can invite them to the higher ticket work, and you can have a conversation that a social media follower never gets to have with you because they've got that deeper connection to knowing what it is that you do. So one product, one system, and then everything is connected. And that's it, really. The last thing, if you are building relationships with people, you're enabling them to grow, to know you, to like you, to trust you. You're building trust with them. And the people that buy the Thinker, I want them to know what else I do. And I want them to find their way to the show. I want them to find their way into the strategy lab, into the real conversation about their business. I want them to think about the fact that they could have their own live show and come and talk to me about that. The product is just the start of that. It's not all of it. As I said, if you follow that step-by-step process, you'll get a bit of a shortcut because it's going to give you all the prompts and all the steps without watching this video again, but also without reading your scrappy notes again, and in a way that you can copy, paste, rinse, repeat. That's all from me. My name's Cordelia, and this has been how to launch your own product. And I hope that you have found it useful. Lots of love. Have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.